JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Wednesday, May 28th, 9 a.m. Talk really quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from the S&P futures. We're red, somewhat red overnight. Have flipped into the green here this morning since about 5:30. Not much in the way of catalysts. Overnight, Asian markets and Europe markets are mostly in the red. But big news to obviously today is the big catalyst, right? So we have NVDA earnings. Everyone's talking about that. We also have the Fed minutes at 2 o'clock. So interesting to hear how some of the commentary and what that looks like in regards to the tariffs and uncertainty. Was anybody on the fence in regards to cutting rates? Uh, Tomorrow we get the second read on the first quarter GDP. I don't even think that's a big deal. And then Friday's the PCE data. GDP and the PCE data are probably not big deals if NVIDIA posts a strong quarter. And I think NVIDIA is going to post a strong quarter. Another beat and raise. It's just a matter of how big and then if it's enough to satisfy the markets, right? And last quarter, I thought it was a great quarter, but markets sold it off. We'll see. As long as it's a decent quarter, I think markets can hold their ground, and then we're back in that range, 586 to 597 on the SPY. A strong beat and raise, some great guidance and great reaction, and then I think the SPY trades up near over 600 into the weekend. So that's kind of the overall market. It's funny, the yields story that was filling the news vacuum last week is in the rearview mirror, right? No one's talking about the yen carry trade 2.0 coming. That's going to wreak havoc. Yields are up just a little bit here this morning, but hopefully that can kind of get pushed back and markets can find some footing. So that's kind of the overall market. So individual names. So GME finally announced their Bitcoin purchase. So I've been waiting, seems like forever. And funny enough, the last 3 sessions, GME has had its best performance in quite some time. So yesterday, continuation up 6%. Locks on my calls in for over 150%. I held the rest. I was actually looking to get some more like later dated strikes, like the Julys, but you look at the Junes, they were like 60 cents for the 100 strikes, which is just mind boggling. Stock was trading at 34 bucks when I was talking about it. And then, for me, the risk reward. So to me, it's like, if it opens up here today, so it had the purchase, which I think is great. And of course, there's headlines saying was $5 billion. I mean, I don't know if people have to work on their math here, but they purchased 4,710 coins. That's 500 and something million at the 109,000 that each Bitcoin trades at right now. So they already have their huge 3 whatever billion-dollar cash hoard. And then actually, it might be a little more than that. And then they did their $1.3 billion offering, which closed on April 1st. So the fact that they didn't use that entire offering to buy the Bitcoin, and then that they kind of leave like a little room for speculation, right? We don't know the purchase price, the average. Were they purchasing a couple a day? What that look like? So kind of, to me, it leaves a little room for no sell the news event, right? That'd be the worry here that they finally did the announcement. The stock has been on a tear, and then you get kind of somewhat of a sell the news event. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I think this is like a best case scenario. They left some powder. They can appease both sides, right? They didn't go all in, use all their cash, which is generating the passive 400 million, whatever passive income on a yearly basis. And then they also left some of the offerings so they can be strategic. So I think this is all good stuff. We'll see how it trades out here today. And the hope here is the premiums don't evaporate on the calls, because this, some of the hype and some of the premium might be people betting on I don't know, some kind of surprise announcement. So we'll see what the premiums open, how it looks at the open. I'll probably lock a few more of my June 50s in, and then I might look to use some of that just to get some of the higher strikes, depending on what those look like. Because I think if it can hold, I thought 34.70 was the 2025 highs. If it can hold that here today, I think it's off to the races over 40 bucks. So that's GameStop. And then you also look at the Golden Cross, and I posted this last week. Last time it had the Golden Cross was back at the end of May of last year. And I think it was like May 24th, and then went from 18 bucks all the way. I mean, it hit 64 and change, but that was on the Roaring Kitty tweet. But then back up at 44 bucks. So I'm not saying deja vu here, but certainly history sometimes repeats itself. So that's kind of GameStop. So then on to W, and I was looking for some lottos or speculative trades to take on yesterday with the market ramping higher. Once that gap was held at the open, I went and looked for some speculative trades, and Wayfair was at like 38 bucks, showing some strength. I'm like, wow, this is a name that I already had some great earnings, came all the way back from those earnings all the way down to 35 bucks. I thought, hey, it's going to trade higher today. Did I think it was going to close up 13%? I'm happy it did. So I got some of I was actually looking at the 40 strikes. I was saying this on the rant yesterday afternoon. They were like 20 cents. Couldn't get fills on those. I missed it. So I went for the 41s because I figured if it rallies, it's not going to matter if I'm in the 40s or the 41s. Obviously, the reward, it'll be bigger multi-baggers on the 40s, but I went and got some inexpensive 41s. And then within about 20 minutes, I closed some of them out for over 100%. Kept on going, locked some more out for over 200%, and I just held the rest into today because I'm looking at the 200-day moving average at 42.22. It closes, breaks over that. I think 45 plus is coming, and I think it happens pretty quickly. So if it does get some continuation here today, I might look to just take a few more of the 41s off. I'll just hold a few runners, and then I'll add some into next week for that possible continuation. Not only that, if there's some Vietnam, some Southeast Asia trade agreement news, I think that sparks way up into the 50s. Call me crazy. All right, so that's W. Added some DELL calls yesterday just as a earnings trade premium build into Thursday. They've reported after close Thursday. Premiums are holding up. I was hoping for a follow through after the open yesterday. It did. It kind of fizzled around 114. Maybe today's the day it starts to move higher. NVDA reports earnings after the close, so that could have some kind of sympathy move as well. The plan is to lock some in to cover costs and ride the rest into earnings. If I don't get that chance, I'll probably close them all out and revisit. But love the DELL setup here. And you can make the case there's a bull flag setting up. It's over its 200-day moving average at 110. So really like that setup. Reddit, right? I mean, staring at this one, it rarely has closed over or at its highs of the session, right? Typically, Reddit hits a high and fades at the open or hits a high intraday and fades. So yesterday, kind of strong action here. 50-day moving average right there at 108.25. This morning, it got announced that it's added to the Russell 3000. I mean, anytime a stock is added to an index, typically it's a big news because that index has to add them. So, it's going to get buyers automatically, regardless of its fundamentals. But, I mean, here it's a $20 billion company getting added to the Russell. I don't know if that's as big a news, but hey, we'll take anything here with Reddit. I'll take, as I've been watching over the last couple of weeks, I'll continue to look for opportunities to trade some spec lottos on Reddit. I think it trades up back above 120 in the coming days. It's just a matter of timing. So don't want to be stuck staring at it like I have over the last couple of weeks either. So I'll be patient there. And then TKO. TKO is such a great story. You have the WWE side, then you have the UFC side, and it's like a brand that just continues to grow. And shocking to see it pull back from its highs in the middle of May. Could be an opportunity here. I think it trades back over 170. So tough to find some decent risk reward strikes, but I'll be watching today. I had it on the watch a couple of months ago, but revisiting is today possibly. We'll see. Depending on what the market does. Right at its lower Bollinger Band too. So I think it was 155 it bounced off of. So that's that. Also watching RH, but the spreads and premiums make it tough to trade. But if I see a decent risk reward strike there, I think it's 198 is the 50-day moving average. So if we can get over that. I was looking at MDB calls for their earnings June 4th, but the premiums are just nuts. I mean, it's right here 189. You have to go up to 250, and even the 250 strikes kind of makes it tough. So if those premiums come down, don't be surprised to add some strikes there. And that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.